hate it when God steals my thunder. It's my job to take an idea or a proposition from Scripture and paint you a picture that makes it accessible for us. I mean, doesn't this Old Testament lesson kind of sound like me? Go down to the potter's house. If it were me, I suppose I might have approached it a little differently. I might have told you about my second grade art class and the lump of clay the teacher gave me. I might have told you that I looked at that lump of clay and saw a vase, the likes of which would have made the best of the Ming Dynasty blush with shame at the inferiority of their product. And then I might have told you about the candy dish / hockey puck that my mother got that year for Christmas. It was a darn nice candy dish, if you ask me. I might have told you about my attempt to create something and encourage you to think about your own efforts through life to create. I might have done all of that as a way to access the meaning of this passage, but I don't really have to, because God has already done it. The word that came down to Jeremiah, go to the potter's house, and there you will hear the word of the Lord. At the potter's house, Jeremiah found the artist at work, shaping and forming a lump of clay into something that was beautiful. The result, though, wasn't beautiful. The vessel had a flaw. The passage doesn't specify the flaw. It might have been one of form. It didn't take the shape that the potter intended. It might have been one of function. It had a crack or a hole. What good is a vase that won't hold any water? Regardless of the flaw, the potter is unwilling to accept an inferior product. And so the potter smashes the vessel, returning it to its lump-like beginning. And then the potter begins to shape and mold and form all over again. Go down to the potter's house, Jeremiah was told, and there you will hear my word. It's an image with its high points, inviting all of us to glimpse the heart of our Creator God. When God looks at us, God does not see just what we are alone, but what we can be with the proper shaping and molding touch. Now, we tend to think most specifically about this in an individual sense, much the way I was talking to the children during the children's sermon. But notice here that the context is corporate. God's talking about the work He's doing in Israel. God's telling us about the work that He's doing in this community. The hope and the promise of this image is that what we are and what we will be as a community of faith is greatly determined by the molding and the shaping of a true artist. And I don't know about you, but when I, like the psalmist, consider the heavens, the work of God's fingers, the moon and the stars that He has established, I encounter a God that is adept at making things of beauty. Go down to the potter's house, and you will hear the word of the Lord. The image has its high and soaring notes to stir our hearts and give us hope. But it also has its notes that aren't so high. There's judgment in this passage. God's intention for creation, embodied in the covenant that He had made with the people of Israel, had not become visible in their reality. The vessel that God had started to form when He called to Abraham and said, "Walk before me and be blameless," had a flaw. The people called to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation were acting neither royal nor holy. So what was God to do? Well, He could do what the potter did. He can smash the work that He had begun, return it to its lump-like beginnings, and then start the creative process all over again. Now, it's at this point that the analogy sort of begins to break down for me, and I suppose for you. Because though God may be like the potter, a skilled artist, shaping and forming something that is beautiful, we have a lot more at stake in the equation than the lump of clay. We can feel the painful consequences of our failures and shortcomings. We are aware of the pain of judgment, so much so that we really don't like to talk about it. I mean, I would much rather preach grace than judgment. And I'm fairly confident that you would much rather hear about grace than judgment, which tends to mean I tend to preach more about grace than judgment. The problem is that without judgment, its companion grace sort of loses its meaning. It works that way with light and darkness. What makes light such a gift to us is we know what it means to stumble around in the darkness. Anyone who has stubbed their toe on the way to the bathroom in the middle of the night, knows what a gift the light is. Without having the darkness, would we truly be able to appreciate that gift? The grace of forgiveness gains its real value, takes hold in our hearts only in the awareness of the need for that grace. And you can't have an awareness of the need without a sense of being judged. At the potter's house, Jeremiah finds the words to make clear the need of the people of Israel. So let's consider that need. What flaws were